Frankie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
I think, he's just the ability to rise up and make a tough shot. And, he made 2 of them in a row. And I thought he did a really good job also getting the ball to Cat against that mismatch. I thought, he managed the end of the game really, really well. Defensively, we were locked in. And he has really good defensive instincts, particularly when he's off the ball. He's just really good at being in the right place.
There he is, Finchy. I wonder if Finch rides the roller coaster like I do, where it's like every time they lose like 2 games or something, and what was it? The last 5? Was it 5 in a row? It was a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah,
he's just like, I'm probably going to get fired. Oh, now it's going to be 15 losses. And then they win last night, and I'm like, oh, we're back. Look at the schedule. Can't find a loss until February. Let's get it.
Finchy's like me. He hates roller coasters. He don't ride no roller coaster. Finchy is even keel you could tell. Finchy goes home, pulls out a book, turns on the fake fireplace he probably bought, gets a cup of coffee and some type of some type of drink.
Oh, he looks like he mainlines coffee, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts on a robe, gets out a pipe, and just enjoys the night.
Why are you thinking about Chris Finch in a robe right now?
He strikes me as a robe guy. Don't ask me. Some people strike me as robe guys. No.
Did Tom Thibodeau strike you as a robe guy?
I knew where you're going. No. Tibbs never struck me as a robe guy.
I've never been a robe guy.
I'm a big-time robe guy. Big-time robe guy.
I'm not a robe guy.
Not even just an early weekend statement. Didn't put on pants till about 3 o'clock yesterday. I did nothing but sit on my couch in my chill boys and binge watch TV.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
No robe.
Well, all right. With that, you guys want to get into some statements here that don't involve robes?
Before I go too far, yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
I never said a bathtub.
You meant it.
I meant it. You can't
a
read
book,
my mind.
A robe, dim lights. I don't know where Joe was going. All right. Despite all the hate coming from you two guys, D'Lo is the straw that stirs the drink. Yeah. Can't believe you guys lost faith in D'Lo. You guys wanted him traded. It's ridiculous. I'm the only voice of reason on this show, quite frankly. So, my first statement is D'Lo is apparently the straw that stirs this drink. Let me bring some data to the table here. The Timberwolves are 12-0. Wait a second. This stat is wrong. They're not 12-0. The Wolves are 12-10. I missed a 1 there. Declan had the stat on the SKOR North Twitter account today. The Wolves are 12-10 when D'Lo plays. They're 0-5 when he doesn't play. Let's go deeper. So, D'Lo, who you would never think of as, a defensive stopper throughout his career, the Wolves have by far the best net rating when he's on the court of any Wolves player. When he's on the court, the Wolves outscore their opponents 23 points per 100 possessions. They basically blow their opponents out when he's on the court. And a big chunk of that is defense. D'Lo has by far the biggest impact on the team's defensive net rating. And I think, he's being praised for his communication. He's very much engaged. Does he have the size to be a lockdown defender, defensive player of the year? No, I also think his presence allows the lineup to sort of fill out the way that it should, and it's kind of a domino effect in a positive way down the rest of the lineup. So, also, the guy's shooting 38%, which is problematic, but despite that, he's averaging career highs in win share rate and defensive rating. And so, there's the data. The eye test would tell you the same thing. They just win more games, and they play better. They go on the road. Dame Lillard comes back. Doesn't matter. They beat the Blazers, who are struggling, but D'Lo is the straw that stirs the drink.
All right. Is this the quickest Macadac turnaround towards a player in the history? I will go back to the AM 1500 days on one player. The quickest that Macadac has changed his tune from, this guy's not going to work here.
Well, okay, there's nuance here. I feel like, and people love to trap us on this show in Purple Daily.
I'm just asking.
Black and white. Okay,
I listen to the show every day. Okay, I am a loyal listener.
So, prior to this season, and this is if you even talk to people in the organization who will say the same thing. Like, there's been a new level to his leadership. There's been a new level to his defense, his communication, just everything. I mean, he has sort of taken this team on as his own. And I think there's still questions about the volume nature of his scoring. You can't have a guy that's going to shoot under 40% or like chuck the shots that he chucks sometimes. Like that's going to prevent the Wolves from getting to the point where they want to eventually go in the Western Conference. But I almost feel like he's had just a jump up in self-awareness and maturity in the last couple of years too. So is it possible that the things I was critical of, like he's like in his mid-20s. He's evolving as a human, as a leader, as a basketball player. There's room for growth here, and I think we're seeing that. It doesn't mean that criticism of the first 5 years of D'Lo was incorrect.
Right.
It just means that you're not a finished product when you're 22, 23, 24 years old, and we're seeing an evolution here. Now, can he sustain it? Can he find ways to
his shot should improve?
Can his
actually,
shot come back at some point? Yeah. So, I'm not saying he's become a perfect player. I don't even know if he's worth the max contract yet. Like he's being paid like a superstar player, but he is absolutely having the most positive impact on this team of anybody on the roster. And
straw that stirs the drink.
It's
straw that stirs the drink. That's great. Yeah, because that game against Cleveland was awful. That thing on Friday night was terrible. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, Cleveland was supposed to be like tanking. Oh, they're bringing in Ricky Rubio, and Kevin Love is still here.
Yeah.
Cleveland's competitive.
Cleveland, they're competitive, but they shouldn't come in and absolutely thrash the Wolves. Like, it's okay. If you lose, you lose, but the Wolves absolutely got done.
Agreed with that.
All right, I got a Wolves statement. It is, the Wolves will be just fine, but they need a big. They need a big. They currently sit at 9th in the West right now. D'Lo's getting back healthy. Cat's still getting shots to fall. Anthony Edwards looks like he's the heartbeat. Even dudes like Jared Vanderbilt and Jalen Noel, for God's sakes, had a big game yesterday. Like, role players are stepping up on this team, and Pat Bev might be really the X factor and the glue that really has kind of brought all this team together defensively. But they need size. Like, they're one of the smallest teams in the NBA, and if the Pacers are going to sell, I think Myles Turner is the exact kind of guy you got to get. He leads the league in blocks. He led the league in blocks last year. If you put Myles Turner at the 5, Cat can then play the 4. And also, Myles Turner can hit a 3. Like, Myles Turner is also not just like, hey, I'm a giant and I'm going to stand here and be a rim protector and I can't do anything offensively. Myles Turner can hit some 3s as well. I think you can actually pull off a trade that isn't selling off an insane amount of assets. Like, if you want Ben Simmons, you're going to have to give up the farm. If you want Myles Turner, it might only cost you dangling the Taurean Prince contract, the Malik Beasley contract, even Jaden McDaniels, and just one of those draft picks. I would entertain that more than I would entertain giving up the farm for Ben Simmons. I think Myles Turner is the perfect kind of big, and maybe the one little missing piece that this team needs, not just to be flirting with the play-in game, but also being a legit top 8 team in the West.
Because it's Jaden, it's draft picks, and it's probably the Prince contract.
I mean,
that's the theory.
Where do I sign?
I'll take that right now.
Yeah.
And I love Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, I think Jaden McDaniels, he has the upside of being a really good role player. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't think he has the upside of being like a franchise cornerstone player. And you got, Towns, D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards are all they're 26 and younger. Ant is 20 years old. So you've got enough here. You got Balmaro as a young development guy. So you can stand to give up Jaden McDaniels and a first-round pick or something. I don't know what the package would look like. But to your point about them needing a big, they are dead last in the NBA in defensive rebounding. They're last in defensive rebounding per 100 possessions. By any way you want to look at it, they have a really hard time grabbing possession from opposing teams. They give up too much on the boards. And they have to go small, especially when they get into foul trouble. By the way, Jared Vanderbilt is a wonderful rebounder and defensive player. He's not a huge guy. He's... And when Cat gets into foul trouble, which happens on a regular basis, like they don't have someone coming in to help fill that void. Cat is probably their best. Cat and Vanderbilt are their best rebounders. And beyond that, it's like, who's cleaning up the glass? They just get smoked. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To go
that trade.
To go full hoops geek, I was talking to our guy Dane Moore at the game last Wednesday against the Jazz, and he also was explaining, and this is intriguing. He said Jared's a very nice player, and he does a very good job of what he's good at. But the problem is when Jared and Kat are on the floor together, the spacing is bad. And he also took me through, and it's really intriguing thing what opposing teams now do to Cat, which is they drag Cat out high and then go to the perimeter for like corner threes, and Cat can't move that quickly. And so basically the spacing gets messed up, and Cat is what offenses are trying to do is take him out of the play, and they're succeeding. And when that's the case, it's a real problem. So, yeah, I think that there's going to have to be some type of change made here to probably make up or at least help make up for that. And the one thing I will say, too, is for all that we're concerned about, well, I mean, McDaniels is a good young player. What if? I guess my question is, how long can the Wolves continue to go down that path, too? I mean, it feels like every year it's like, well, I don't know if you could do that. And, at some point in time, it'd be nice to just win some damn basketball games, right?
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I mean, it kind of feels like a no-brainer. As
opposed to, you can't trade Jaden McDaniels. What are you doing?
You trade him in a heartbeat. If you
at some point in time, you want to win games.
Yes, if you can get a Myles Turner, you trade him in a heartbeat. Something else to watch for of the Wolves. So the Wolves have, I'm going to go in the weeds here for a second. So Basketball Reference, if you ever want to check this out for yourselves, they give you lineup combinations, 5-man lineup combinations, all the way down to like pairings of players and how those combinations are from a plus-minus perspective. Of the 20 lineup combinations that qualify, the 2-man lineup combinations that qualify, Malik Beasley is in all 5 of the worst ones for the Timberwolves. So like Malik Beasley paired with Towns, Malik Beasley paired with Ant, Malik Beasley paired with Vanderbilt. All of them are -10, -12 per 100 possessions. And I just, he is not a well-rounded player. He can be one of the best, most powerful offensive players when his shot is dropping. And in fairness to him, he's sitting about 7 or 8 points below his career field goal percentage, and he's well below where you'd want him as a 3-point shooter. So once his shot comes around, he'll add more offensively. I just don't. He just kind of feels like an empty calories player on this team. The stats bear that out. If a team is desperate for shooting, or if you can somehow get a team to see value in him as a player in a trade, I could see him on the move sometime this season. You want the shooting. You definitely don't want to give up a guy that shoots 40% from downtown. But to this point, he's been an empty calories player for the Wolves.
He has no role here. Like, it doesn't work here. And I think if he went to an ultra competitive team and came off the bench and could shoot, it might work. But yes, he came here with the intention of starting, and he's not now. And it's like he can't find his groove. So yes.
Yeah, he's literally gone from averaging 20 points a game and 16, 17 shot attempts to just not really finding it. One more bonus one real quick. I love Pat Beverly. Last night he's shouting at the Blazers bench, first team all defense. They're shouting 94 feet. I think D'Lo has been the most impactful player from a plus-minus perspective, but I think Beverly's attitude, his grit, his defense, all of those things have been a blast to watch. So I love Pat Beverly. He was classic last night.
He gives you an edge, a necessary edge, like a snark. I love the snark.
Yes.
The anti-Towns. The, what just happened? I got fouled, right? To Pat Bev. F that, man.
Yeah,
come on, bring it on. I like that. All right. My statement, I will stay on the sport of basketball. I will pivot, though. I will pivot across town to the University of Minnesota, to Williams Arena. And here's a statement. Ladies and gentlemen, we are watching the Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Do it with me. Monday morning. Ben Johnson is the Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Want to write that down?
I just might, because the Gophers are 8-1. And I feel like through about the first 6 wins or so, it was like this, well, yeah, but they weren't playing teams. And I will say this, there were a lot of people that know about Gopher basketball who did not think that they would go through that portion of the non-conference schedule undefeated. They did, okay? So then they play Sparty, and they lose, and they're getting waxed, and you're like, okay, here it comes. and they make a comeback. And now remember, they're a spunky new team. Like they make a comeback and get within 6. So you're like, oh, didn't see that coming, right? And then they cap it off, get the Rouser ready again. Saturday night, Chrysler Arena. For the first time since 2011, your Gophers win, and I think they do it impressively and fairly convincingly. Big Ten Coach of the Year. Ben Johnson's gonna be Big Ten Coach of the Year. Richard who?
Richard who?
This is impressive. I'm not going to pull punches here. This is an entirely new collection of which we thought, and I bought in, they're going to be awful. Like, they're going to win 4 games all year. You go to Michigan against that team, that program, and I'm not saying they're perfect, but they're good. Mm-hmm. And you beat them on the road. And remember, guys, how long did we lament the fact that the Gophers can't win on the road? It seems like it's a reoccurring theme.
That's
so
a legit
Ben Johnson,
resume building win. That's the type of win. I don't think Michigan's kind of a borderline top 25 team, but that's the type of win. And you know what? The Mississippi State win, too. Mississippi State's not a top 25 team, but according to KenPom, they're a top 50 team. And at the end of the year, Mississippi State was a road game, too, wasn't it? Or was it neutral site? It was a road game. So you literally have 2 resume-building wins on your schedule before the first of the year. Let's get it, big.
Let's go. Fire it up. This is a tournament team. You're watching tournament team.
It is.
This is great.
It's kind of amazing. I mean, Ben Johnson, and I don't know if you guys saw the celebration in the locker room, but those guys, they did the water dumping all over him and jumping around and stuff, and he's clearly getting a buy-in from those guys. I think Pitino had kind of a harder time just like being a human. Like there was a little bit of a distant nature to Pitino's personality, kind of a too cool for school. And I like how Ben has jumped in. And I'm not saying that Ben is a better coach yet. Like, we need to watch this thing play out. But there seems to be just a connection, right? He's a U of M guy. He's a Minnesota guy. And by the way, they're doing this. They're literally playing like a 6.5-man rotation. So
yes,
they might have to watch that rotation. At some point.
Mm-hmm. Ben Johnson, I think, can flat out just coach too. The thing that I like in watching the game against Michigan, the thing that impressed me the most, this is a team. They play like a team. They play like a team. Last year felt like, and this is not all Pitino, but it felt like it's Marcus Carr and a bunch of guys, right? And Marcus Carr would come down, he'd fire up shots. If he was hot, they'd be fine. If he wasn't, they were in big trouble. This feels like far more a collection of players as a team, which goes back to what? The Wild. Teams like, I mean, there is an inherent value into the words that Phil just used, buy-in. There is a huge value in buy-in. And it seems like Ben Johnson has gotten that, and because of that, the Gophers are 8-1. They're headed to the NC2A tournament. You can't stop them.
One more time.
Hey, Mackey, I knew I'd get Mackey. I knew I'd lift his spirits up.
Anytime, like,
good for them.
I'm like the little mouse. You can just put a little piece of Gopher's cheese out for me on a mouse trap, and I'm just like,
you know what?
It's good.
Gopher basketball being good is so much fun. I'm not, that's one of my favorites. I love it when they're good.
Yep. All right. Moving off Gopher basketball, because that was definitely going to be, but you did it for both of us there. The Vikings need to unleash Dalvin Cook against the Bears if they want to make the playoffs. Okay. And this will be, we're doing our pie chart of possibility on Purple Daily today. Pie chart of if they want to make a run, if they want to do some damage here, make the playoffs, etc. We'll go through that. But the Bears have gotten gashed on the ground since the middle of October. They've allowed over 100 yards rushing in all but one game since like week 4. And again, last night, like, they get every break they can possibly get, and the Packers offense just rolls right through them in the second half. Poor Matt Nagy. Haven't seen if he's been fired today yet, but at this point, I don't know. We're already like halfway through December. So the Vikings' path to the playoffs starts on Monday night. They already beat the Steelers last week to sort of, get back in the mix here. They're in this muddy group of 6 and 7 lost teams that goes from the 6 seed all the way down to the 11 seed in the NFC. And if they want to beat the Bears at Soldier Field, they need to unleash Dalvin Cook against a Bears team that has had an impossible time stopping the run. Your thoughts?
I think you're 1,000% right, and I think that it is not a huge ask for the Vikings to not just win in Chicago a week from tonight, but to also beat them here in the last game of the season, because this Chicago team is ripe to be swept. Like, this is perfect. The timing is perfect. It's not an October game where the Bears are like, well, no, we're still in this thing. What are you talking about, right? Yeah. This is at the end. Nagy's going to be done. Everything sets up perfectly to execute 2 game plans that take care of the Bears for 8 quarters and get you 2 wins.
9
1,000%.
wins gets you in. So if you can finish 3-1, and in all of these games, it would be 3-1 all in conference games. So then you would finish with, a conference record of 7-5. Because conference record's going to come into play as the main tiebreaker if a bunch of teams finish at 8-9 or 9-8,
which probably will happen.
Yep. So if you
right.
can finish 3-1 and 2 of those wins over the Bears, so then either take one against the Rams at home or take one at Lambeau Field on the road. Those are the 2 toughest games. Then you will make the playoffs. And it starts by unleashing Dalvin Cook. Don't get cute. Don't let Kirk throw 45 passes at that stadium. He's had a couple weird games there before. I think Kirk's going to have to win the Rams game, because the Rams are very good at stopping the run, and the Packers have been good at stopping the run, including against the Vikings a few weeks ago. I think those are games in which Kirk's probably going to have to drive the offense, but let Dalvin cook.
Oh, the chef. Oh, you're going to let the chef cook, are you, huh?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
The Bears.
Yes.
All right, my second statement, it's a hockey one, and the statement is why the hockey gods are sometimes unkind and are sometimes very fair. Hockey gods are weird. The hockey gods are weird. I want to bring 2 examples to the table here. Example A, this man being the heartbeat of the Minnesota Wild for basically the last season and a half. Marcus Foligno. So right now, Marcus Foligno has tied his career high for goals in a season. He has 13 goals already in 28 games. In those 28 games, Foligno is averaging just a shot and a half per game. So he's converting 30.2% of his shots for goals. That shooting percentage leads the NHL.
Feels a little unsustainable.
It's extremely unsustainable. And going back to last season, he has a shooting percentage of 29% cumulative over the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
So, he is not shooting a lot. He's getting rewarded with goals, which is great. Good for you to get goals. But Marcus Foligno is getting rewarded with barely putting pucks on net. And now I bring you example B. Kevin Fiala, my Lord and Savior, my number 1 beautiful boy. I'm the number 1 fan of his fan club, right? In 28 games, Fiala is averaging 3.2 shots per game. He is starting in the offensive zone. So when the puck is dropped, he is starting in the offensive zone 71% of the time. He has a Corsi for of near 60%, meaning when he is on the ice, he and his teammates are out shooting the team about 60% of the time. And he has a criminal shooting percentage of 4.4%. He has just 4 goals despite averaging double the amount of shots, double the amount of output. His expected goal rate is negative 6.3. That is the lowest percentage in the NHL, meaning from where he is shooting from, he is getting criminally robbed at a rate that no other player in the league is seeing.
Okay, can you put this into English?
Sure. Basically, Foligno is getting rewarded with not taking a lot of shots on goal. He's getting a ton of goals with minimal shots. Fiala is hitting crossbars, putting out double the amount of shot average that Foligno is, and he is not getting any goals. And it's weird.
And is that just going to change organically, or is Foligno just a master at finding?
No. Sports Dad explained this to Declan last night. There's a reason. I will give you the basketball equivalent, okay? Foligno is the center who grabs rebounds and scores. He is shoveling pucks. He's not shooting. We count shots like we don't take apart a shot from the circle, a slap shot, right? And it hits the post or it hits. Marcus Foligno stands in front, and he's marvelous, and it's great. But it's why he's the correct term should not be shot. It's a shovel. If I stand in front, nothing stops me now. This league has in some ways become so wussified that I can stand in front of a goaltender and nobody can touch me, really. Can't cross-check me. You can't slash me, okay? So I'm big. I'm smart. I stand there. Goaltender makes a save. Puck comes out in front. Oh my God, it's on my stick. Goaltender's down. What shall I ever do? Bury the puck. That's a shot on goal. So the Fiala and Foligno shots have nothing in common. And that's the difference. Marcus Foligno is literally going outside to shovel his walk after it snows and scoring goals off of that, which is what he should do.
Yeah.
But this is the difference. This is where we struggle to put into context, Phil, because it's the difference is this. It's Ant shooting threes against Cat grabbing boards and just putting the ball back up and in. That's the difference. So like what Foligno is doing is in some ways sustainable because it's not being identified correctly. If he was standing in the circle and shooting, he wouldn't be scoring nearly this much.
Yeah, no, well,
but I love this.
No,
I love what he's doing. Yeah, but I love what he's doing. And unfortunately for Declan, his guy, 22, 7 posts, which I believe, according to our guy LaPanta on the BSN telecast last night, is the second most in the league this year, and he hit a crossbar last night. But that will, but his luck will change.
Yeah.
His luck's going to change. Like he's going to start to score.
Are the
There's no
crossbars
question
regulation size at the X? Have we checked? I feel like when I'm watching, they just look a little thicker.
Yeah, they look a little bigger. First it was Jean-Sebastian Jaguar's pads, and now the posts are getting bigger.
You guys. Your guy Fiala will be fine. I like how he's playing, so I'm not complaining. All right, here's my next statement, and I'm going to go to the world of the National Football League after watching Red Zone all day yesterday. What a glorious day. I mean, seriously, you know what? Thanksgiving, Christmas, family, you can have them. I'll take Red Zone. And
where's Judd? He's just downstairs watching the timer at 4th of July gathering. He's just watching the countdown until week 1 Red Zone. I don't know.
If you told me you're either going to lose Red Zone or holidays, I'm giving you holidays. You can take them.
I think I'm with you on that. I'm trying to think if there's like a couple holidays here and there that I'd like to keep. But
Dawn worked. I was on the couch, me and Stella, watching the games.
The afternoon games were a little bit. I mean, there was a couple comebacks.
The noon games were brutal.
The noon games were, but there were comebacks. Mm-hmm. That's the great thing. This league is so flawed that teams will just start to arbitrarily attempt to come back. So anyway, here's my statement. Get it right. Off of our friend, and I think this actually came out on Saturday, off our friend Tom Pelissero, NFL Network report. Urban Meyer and that entire thing in Jacksonville now has gone so out of control. It's unbelievable that, according to Tom, and I'm sure his sources are impeccable, there was a meeting between Urban and his coaching staff at which he said, he went Christian Laettner. I'm a winner. You're losers.
Yeah.
He has belittled players. He has buried players on the bench who could help. This is all an example, though, of how very important the Wilfs' job is going to be, Phil and Dex, in replacing Zim and potentially Spielman. Because this is the difference between, hey, you know what? We're popping right back up. Because there's no reason to really get bad, right? Like it's not like, oh, we're going to suck for 5 years. This is the difference between popping back up and getting really competitive and good, or going down for a long time because you screwed it up. So, and I would have never hired this guy. But my point is, this is the difference between maintaining consistency of a franchise and hopefully, in the Vikings case, taking another step or 3 up, or really setting yourself back. These next hires are so important. And they're tough, and I get that. But If you like go with, well, I think this guy's going to be good and he's got a big name in college or something, just be very, very careful because if you're wrong, it can really cost you.
Well, and look at the difference. So 2 years ago, the Cardinals went to college and hired Cliff Kingsbury, who I think got fired at Texas Tech.
He did.
Because they were losing like a handful of games at Texas Tech. But they had a great offense, and everyone was like, ooh, really? Is he going to be able to? Well, look at the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are the best team in the NFL. When everyone's healthy, they're just blowing everybody out. And Cliff Kingsbury, who, by the way, was used to losing some games in college. I don't want you to get too used to losing games, but Urban Meyer, on the other hand, and Kingsbury, more of a collaborative personality, connects with young players, right? Builds relationships. Urban Meyer has lost like 6 games ever, right? And I mean, Urban Meyer has one of the greatest records as a college football coach, abrasive personality, all kinds of stories about his ego and everything. What did they expect? You know, like you're going to bring a guy in who's not used to losing games at all. Like he's literally used to going 12-1 every year, getting all the best players in the country. His roster was always stacked and better than everyone except for maybe Alabama. And now you're going to take a job in which it's the opposite. You've got the worst roster in the NFL, and you're going to lose games. And he can't deal with it. So, you know, what can the Vikings learn? I guess, I don't know, don't hire a guy who's egotistical and unrealistic.
Got to get it right.
College.
Got to get it right.
You got to get
no
right.
question
But like,
about it.
That is such a
That's a terrible hire. Yeah.
first guess obvious. Wow,
Yes.
are we sure about this?
Right.
And I trust Tom Pelissero's reporting ironclad here, even though Urban Meyer kind of tap danced around it at the podium yesterday. We know Tom. Like Tom's not just like getting that on a whim and floating it out on national TV and national platforms.
Urban Meyer was threatening to fire people yesterday. It's like, dude, what? You have no leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Like you look like a moron, and you are now threatening people's jobs. You're gonna get fired anyway.
Okay, guy. And I don't know how much damage did they do to Trevor Lawrence. It's essentially a wasted year for Trevor Lawrence. So
developmental, yeah.
I'm with you. It highlights the importance of it. It also highlights like you don't just want to fire Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman without some idea of is Byron Leftwich going to come in and at least not be a train wreck, right? Like you don't want someone to come in and just blow the whole thing up with their idiot personality.
These people have the money to hire former FBI agents to follow people. Like you can do that. It's probably not scrupulous, but what do I care? I'm trying to win football games.
Scrupulous.
My morals on a hiatus when I'm trying to hire.
What does scrupulous even mean?
Scruples. Look up scrupulous or scruples. People with scruples.
Okay, hold on a second here. Scrupulous of a person or process, diligent, thorough, and extremely attentive to detail.
Wow. All right, Judd.
So very concerned to avoid doing wrong. Used in an example, the research has been carried out with scrupulous attention to detail. She's too scrupulous to have an affair with a married man.
Yeah, see, that's what I... So like, combine them.
That's awesome.
Exactly right.
That's the example.
But you know what? I am not too scrupulous to put a tail on a potential head coach to find out what that guy is really like. That's what I'm talking about.
Can you tell me the language of origin?
No, I can't. What? No.
Scrupulous.
No idea.
Can I just take a stab?
Of course.
Sure. Greece. I don't know. Greek.
No, it's not. It's not Greek. It actually comes from a combination of, it's largely Latin, but comes from also French and English roots.
You were set up to fail there. He gave you three.
Totally took a stab.
Yeah. Why did you ask us to take a stab when we had no chance?
Well, I mean, there's literally 3 options.
Have some scruples,
here. French,
Mackie.
Latin, and English.
Macadac.
I mean,
Macadac's got no scruples, Dex.
You got no marbles, no scruples. All right, that's the word of the day here on Mackie and Judd. Those statements were presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, where they have been helping business owners for over 100 years. You can find them in Owatonna and online at federatedinsurance.com, where you can find a full list of industries they protect. So if you're a business owner and your industry matches up with the long list of industries Federated protects, then maybe you should get in touch with my friends over there and see how they can help you. All right, let's hear from